It's time for the Humor Highwire.
What up?
You went too early.
What up? What up? What up? What up?
What's up, bitches?
Whoa, that's getting...
And other
Yeah.
slurs. I can say them for you guys, actually.
I'll mute you.
You can't mute me. I'm
Oh.
unmutable.
The term's immutable?
Well, I'm currently unmuted. It's like...
I have partial power here. Anyway.
I have the same power, I think.
What? Nope.
No, it's his studio. He's the mod.
Why don't you have full power? What the hell?
I don't know. Anyway, welcome to the Humor Highwire. We have some great stuff for you today. A lot of serious advice giving on this episode. We're here to help you this time. So the first one we got is let's get serious.
No, because I'm so super serious.
Yep. So, recently in the world, there's been a lot of discussion on the topic of sharing, boosting, and smurfing accounts in gaming. And what we've come to discuss today is whether or not these things are okay. And if they are okay, how much disclaiming has to go into it when you are doing it and broadcasting your account to a wider audience?
Yeah, so if you really, really think about it, none of this matters. Not a lick of it. Except on the highest level of play, like where they're like getting paid or participating in tournaments, then it maybe matters, but like they can't really cheat while they're at the tournament. So
I would, from a specific standpoint of something like smurfing, I guess, I don't know. I got yelled at last time. Should I explain what that is?
Yeah, just quick little.
Smurfing is essentially when you have a higher level account, you're more experienced in the game, and you make a different account where you're much lower level, but the skills that you have obviously still carry over, and you're much better than people that you would get matched up with. In my personal opinion, I think smurfing is kind of messed up if you don't let people know as soon as you possibly can, because then you have these people who are going through and trying to enjoy a game, and then they get absolutely wrecked because there's a person either on the opposing team or with your team, and you might feel good about that, but if you really think about it, it's not that great. That just kind of ruins the experience for you because they're much more experienced than you, and it just doesn't seem fair.
I think there's a
counterpoint. There's nuance to this, actually, if you think about it. It's a game.
Is this going to be the theme for like the next 10 episodes? Just making fun of the fact that I say nuance.
It's like a game. So like,
unless
you're getting paid for it, who cares?
Well, there is some merit to the idea that, like, I think there's a difference between PvE and PvP. And I think in PvP, generally, matchmaking is supposed to be balanced to optimize player experience. And ideally, you're supposed to be able to win as equally as you are losing in an ideal matchmaking experience. But smurfing throws that algorithm off because your elo is not properly reflected when you're smurfing, and your causing people who shouldn't be losing as much to lose more frequently because they're matching up against you. And it just, I think it just kind of detracts from player experience, not only for opposing people in PvP, but also for teammates in PvP. Because when you play in a lobby with a Smurf, especially early on in a game, you know, you're learning the habits and things that you do to establish patterns of success. And when you play with a Smurf, and they're carrying the whole lobby because they're, you know, maybe they're like a high level Smurf, which happens much more frequently than you'd realize. You see streams of the higher level players doing it all the time. You know, these people make bad habits thinking that when they're playing with these Smurfs that, you know, it's an okay thing to do because they're getting wins in those games, and then it's detracting from their experience too because they're learning these bad habits and then bashing their heads against the wall when it's not working in regular games. And so it increases their frustration too, not to mention the enemy team who feels completely powerless in a lot of these lobbies. So I am against smurfing in PvP. I think that it's a dangerous pattern to follow.
It's so dangerous. People could die, guys. So, two things. One, if they're developing bad habits while a Smurf's in their lobby, I guarantee they're developing similar bad habits without the Smurf. Because the fact that there's a Smurf in their game means that they're either low ranking or they are lower ranked than the Smurf at least, right? So they've already probably developed a ton of bad habits. So that's number one. Number two, PvP
so what
games are
happens if
dying.
you have a
So everyone should just stop playing them and get ready for Monster Hunter.
Look, I'm not super connected to the gaming world anymore, but that smells like a giant pile of doo-doo to me. PvP games are dying.
Yeah.
They're dying. Well, I will say this. There has been a recent popularity boost in non-competitive, like just PvE or group gaming. Like, I'll point to games like Helldivers and obviously Monster Hunter, which I feel is the one that kind of kicked this off. But I don't know. Without going too far off topic, that's just something I've been thinking about. Like, PvP games have been losing out in some capacity to PvE games recently. So,
okay. So I think, to take your point, as far as all these things are concerned, account sharing, boosting, so on and so forth, in the realm of PvE, it honestly, it's less impactful, but I still feel like it's one of those things where, I mean, you see it a lot in like mobile games. I believe they call them like whales, where
that's
it's
a
like
different discussion.
it's a different discussion, but like it's like basically a pay to win account where you just dump a whole bunch of money into an account, and then you get a bunch of stuff and you just completely outclass anybody around you because you have, you know, I guess a giant amount of disposable income to drop into a game that, according to you, means nothing. But
Yeah,
I mean, it's kind of like that, but with
Diablo Immortal.
giving but with giving somebody else access to your account who's much better than you, or whatever the case may be, so that your account can get better gear or higher levels, or whatever the case may be. I think if it doesn't detract from the experience of other players, there's not
Just you.
really. If you're okay with it and it doesn't detract from the experience of other players, I don't see a big problem with it, as long as you're not trying to pass it off as you're the one who did that. You know, if you, it's kind of like if somebody ghost wrote a book for you and then you claimed you wrote it.
Or like if you get someone to write all of your music and then claim to be like a goat of rap or whatever, and then like when push comes to shove, you lose a big rap beef, like over like what was it, a 12 song battle, and one of the songs comes out and it's so popular that you file a lawsuit against UMG because you can't file a lawsuit against the person who released the song, and it just makes you look like a bigger bitch.
Gentle listeners, you have just listened to the part of the show where one and probably two of the hosts know what's going on, and I certainly do not. I hope you enjoyed it.
I'm not going to name any names. I'm not going to name any names, but you know.
Listeners, email the podcast and please name names for me. I like to be in the loop on things that I know nothing about. Thank you.
Let's just say their name rhymes with break.
Yeah, that doesn't do anything for me. Okay.
What?
Yeah. Okay.
How is that possible?
I just put it together. It's okay. This just informs you how disconnected from that world I am. So sorry, guys.
What world? The music world?
I mean,
what's your favorite kind of music?
We're not getting into that right now. Okay.
It's like an ancient sensei, and what's your favorite kind of music is like the punch, and then it's just that we're not getting into that. The gentle palm deflection.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I don't know about that. It's a simple question.
If you understood how much that isn't a simple question, you wouldn't have asked it so flagrantly.
What's your favorite genre of music?
Guess what, Clown? There's nuance to that.
I'm sure there is, but like...
Anyway.
That is crazy.
So, yeah, I'm of the opinion, as long as it's not hurting other people, and you don't claim that you were the person who put in the work and so on and so forth for your whatevering, I think it's okay. In general, my proposed solution, there'd be a lot of ways you can get around this, but as far as doing that in a setting where it would clearly, oh my gosh, seriously? As far as doing that in a setting where it would most definitely affect other players, I feel like you would have to create like a specialized kind of account, and then other players would have to opt in to potentially play with those kinds of accounts. I think that would be the best option. Now, again, there's obviously ways to get around that depending on how it's set up, but I think that would be a good first step.
I think there's more nuance to it.
I agree. I mean, I also have heard from content creators who talk about like the higher level when it comes to the PvE games in the space, that a lot of the highest level players do a lot of sharing and boosting, which I had not been aware of. Huh?
In what game?
World of Warcraft, Diablo, Path of Exile.
I've heard
quite a
about
few of them
in
do
like
it.
PoE
I would
and
say
Diablo.
even...
I just don't understand like even like that kind of game, because I get there's like a quote unquote leaderboard. World of Warcraft though is a weird one though, because there's not really like a leaderboard for that.
Well, even Osmongold admitted to boosting.
Boosting what?
His account. He was having other people farm mounts for him.
For you? Oh, mounts? That's different.
Yeah.
Mounts are like purely visual. My understanding is like that one mount is not different from another one. They both move the same speed.
It's true, but he said like he clarified when he was talking about it that it was like one of his biggest brags on that account was his mount collection. And in the aftermath, he like, because there's such a rare drop, some of them, and in the aftermath, like now with all the Elon stuff going on, he's come out and said like, to be honest, like he had people who were like gifting him mounts and like farming mounts for him.
But yeah, he's a streamer.
So
they probably just like gave it to him. So what are you gonna do?
Well, in that instance, it's to me, it seems a little sad that there had to be some big hullabaloo about it with, a particular famous individual before people who do this for a living would say anything about it.
Mm-hmm.
But like, that's all I'm saying. Like, if you have other individuals doing stuff on your accounts, I would say if you're going to mention something that another person did, they deserve credit for that. And so the situation with the mounts, like if he got like a super rare drop and he's showing it off, like I think the person that he gave access to do that for him,
Well, what if they found it on their account and then gave it to him?
Well, that happened a lot. Yeah,
I mean, it's the same difference.
That's what it sounds like.
Well, that's when you do shout outs and stuff. I mean, it doesn't have to be a big thing. You're just giving credit where credit is due.
Yeah. I don't know. Again, it's not a game I play a whole lot of, so I don't really know the ins and outs.
Yeah. I mean, it's just a weird, like it was, like, in that specific example where, like, he was talking about, like he even mentioned, like, that he feels like maybe it was a bit disingenuous that it was like one of his biggest flexes was his mount collection, and that people would be shocked at just how much of it was, like, not natively farmed by him. Like, a lot was, but a lot more than people realized was not,
for especially that game, I just don't see an issue.
I mean, from a completely...
He's already wasting his life away on that game.
From a completely unnuanced perspective, it is completely disingenuous. That particular portion of his inventory, his collection, whatever it is, if somebody else did it for them and they don't acknowledge that, it's disingenuous.
I just don't even care about it.
Yeah,
like whether he flexed, like I think if I was like watching his stream and he flexed that, I would just be like, I don't really care.
No, it's the WoW community that's gonna care, because they see that
care.
It's the people that
definitely care.
It's the
some of those drops were insane.
It's the people that care about the thing that care about the thing. It's like
I'm looking to see what people think about this.
Very loudly, in fact.
Get a louder keyboard.
It would be
really fun.
It would be like if you were a writer in a community of writers, and then you basically just ripped an entire passage. If you just ripped an entire passage from somebody else's work and dropped it in a book and went, yeah, that's mine. They call that plagiarism. There's a word for it because it happened a lot, and then people lost out and people were disingenuous about it. So honestly, I feel like professional gaming and streaming and stuff is so new. They just don't have a lot of experience really dealing with that kind of situation, because in reality, it's not quite, but it's pretty close to like fair use issues,
I feel like, and this is a point that Asmongold made as well. I feel like
free shout outs to Asmongold, man.
If any, I know, but if anything, like, it's a talent of itself to be able to get, like, in his case, like, where he was able to get, people to, like, share the mounts with him and stuff, like, that's a talent in and of itself. I feel like there's nothing wrong with being able to disclaim, like, when you're showing off your mounts, like, some of these I got from other people.
Looks like he just bought most of them, because a lot of them are just, like, paid mounts.
A lot of them are paid mounts, but one of them was, like, a 1 in, like, several 100,000 chance drop from a raid, and like, to get it a second time was, like, an even worse statistic or something like that. Like,
that's cool.
Yeah, it is.
So
he wasted his entire life playing that game. Well, I guess he didn't waste his life.
You can't be part of this conversation anymore, because all you're doing is ragging on people.
Well, I'm just saying, like, who cares? It's a game. Well,
if you look at it from other industries or things like that, it's like it would be an equivalent to somebody receiving an award for their work, like a Pulitzer Prize.
No, it's nothing like that, because this is a like game, that. And a Pulitzer or a Pulitzer, that's real life. That's a real accomplishment right there.
You can't be part of this conversation anymore.
I'm just saying.
No, because all you're doing is just belittling what
is somebody going to smurf into your body and win you a Pulitzer Prize? No, they can't do that. This is real life.
I wish you could hear yourself sometimes with how little sense you make sometimes.
I'm just saying.
It's obviously someone can't just take over. It doesn't.
Well, don't say obviously, because think about this. We could have brain parasites or something be controlled. Think about this. The only part of you that has sentience is your brain.
I mean, yes.
What if you are the body and the brain is the parasite controlling you?
Okay, so I think in general we have come to a consensus that there should be some disclaiming done if you are going
I don't agree. I don't care.
Promote achievements and collections that aren't completely of your own effort.
I mean, if you want to cheat yourself out of an experience, go for it. I just don't care.
And if you're a Smurf out there, personally, I believe that you should disclose that to people so they have the chance to decide that they don't want to play with somebody who's going to completely ruin their experience.
Get the blue people out of here. Nobody wants them.
We're going to move on now because, this was 2/3 of a productive conversation.
Yeah, I was the 2/3.
We're going to move on to sage advice.
Time for some sage advice.
Sage advice. Okay. So, the question posed to the council today. I'm going on an interview today and I'm nervous because I was laid off at my last position. Any advice?
Did we get this from our viewers?
No, this was a question that I found on the interwebs that I thought we could take and repurpose for our viewers for any that might be dealing with a scenario like this.
But hey, listeners/viewers, if you have questions that you would like our sage advice on, please feel free to send a good old email to the podcast, and hopefully we can get that question on the show and give you the best advice possible.
I give really good advice.
Sure.
Yeah. People have said it.
You were saying something
I give
about
the best advice.
People have said.
Stop. Stop.
People have said, "How do you do it? How do you give such good advice?"
Stop. We're supposed to be apolitical. I mean, obviously, at this point, people know, but we're supposed to be apolitical, okay? You were saying something about being laid off, Clown. What were you saying?
Oh, well, I wasn't laid off. I'm just saying that, you're going to an interview, you're nervous because you were laid off. You weren't fired. You were laid off. That implies that there was downsizing, and, you could have been unlucky. Maybe that's not the case. But, in interviews, just, you don't have to mention it.
So if this person is nervous, I mean, again, maybe digging too deep into the actual question, but if they're nervous, it might be because the reason that they were laid off is because they were seen as potentially expendable, and nobody likes to feel like that, and that's sucky. But maybe they could potentially be feeling like they're not good enough for the position that they're trying to interview for, because if they were, they wouldn't have gotten laid off from their last job. So if you're a person in that very particular situation and you're feeling that way, I mean, the best thing that you can do is try to, at least in my opinion, is try to rationally look at the situation as much as possible. And most people think that they're less capable than they actually are. So, I mean, it's a little difficult to give specific advice because depending on the type of industry you're going into or trying to get into, it could really, go either way. But if it's something that you have experience with and something that you have maybe done before or you've done training for it or whatever the case may be, I doubt that you would be going to interview for a job with a potential employer that thinks you're completely unqualified, because if you were, you wouldn't have the interview.
Well, you know what you shouldn't do? And it pisses me off when I hear
this. If it
this.
doesn't have anything to do with this question,
It does, kind
Okay.
of. It's loosely related.
We're
Something
getting
you said reminded me. And something I hear all the time, especially from people my age, is fake it till you make it. And I just want to punch those people. Don't do that. Because you're cheating. Fake it till you make it implies that you're going to learn what you need to learn at the job. And it just, some people are not cut out for that. Sorry.
I mean, I can see that perspective.
It depends on the career, like, and what you're going for, like the level of position. If it's like an entry level job, that's probably a philosophy you could be able to follow. If you're going into a managerial position, you're not going to be able to do that.
All right, let's take it.
If you're trying to apply for CFO and you know,
like
your
that's
last
not going to
job
happen.
was the cashier at a McDonald's, so you have finance experience. That might not fly.
Some entry level jobs still require skills. Like, you're not going to walk into a car dealership and become like some amazing salesman by faking it till you make it. You got to actually have some skills. What are you going to fake?
I mean, honestly, I think you chose the wrong thing to bring up, because a lot of people go to car dealerships, and if they can kind of just put on a show, they'll get a job.
Well, you know what? The people that can fake it that well, they're already a good salesman.
Not necessarily.
Let's be real. Let's be real. They've sold the company on their skills.
Okay, I think we're getting away from the heart of the question, because now we're focusing on car sales. So but like,
well, it could be any sales.
I have a piece to put forward. This is a strategy that I actually really liked. A little peek behind the curtain. I work with students a little bit, and one of the students I'm working with, they're currently in the interview process with Princeton University. And part of the early steps in their interview process is you interview with an alum who's out in the field. And during their interview, the final part of their interview, they actually turned the tables on the alum, and they said to the alum, "Why do you think I'll be a good fit at Princeton University?" And I thought that this was a really, really cool move. And I think that this could be like, if you feel like an interview is going well, this could be a good tactical deployment in an interview as well.
Yeah, that's more like a win more advice. If you're like coming in from a base level, I like, if you don't know the interview's going well, I would never use that.
Well, yeah, that's why I disclaimed if you know the interview is going well.
Yeah,
I think that's a very niche situation.
I think the claim that you need skills for some entry-level positions is not completely accurate, depending on the type of like business you're applying
to. That's why I said some. Like, you're not going to get an entry-level coding position if you don't know how to code.
That's not necessarily true. That's not necessarily true. There are.
You made me sound like Elon for a second, dude. You made me say what?
There are specific programs out there that will teach you the skill on the job with the intent of you being placed in a particular position afterwards. And not to say one way or another, but there are jobs that require specific skills, like, you know, you put up coding, but like working with technology in general. There are businesses that will hire people that know very little, just, you know, they know how to use a computer or whatever, and then they'll teach them on the job, because
not everyone can do it, though.
You're right. Not everyone
has the capacity to do it, which is what I'm saying. Don't fake it. If it's an entry-level position that's going to teach you, that's different. But like, if you're 68 years old, don't know anything about technology, please stay away.
I mean, sure. If you have absolutely like, if you're not even like on an enthusiast kind of level,
We're
like
talking to you, buddy. You over there in the with your
Jeffrey,
Jeffrey with your
away.
one earbud in. Okay, you barely found this.
Wait.
Podcast.
Jeffrey's 68 years old.
Yeah,
and they're not wearing a single earbud in. They either have both or they have over-ear headphones.
No, he's got that headphone that only has one earbud. It's a
Let's
single
be real,
wire.
they're probably asleep already.
Jeffrey, I'm sorry for the abuse. I don't know what's gotten into them.
We
don't
just
deserve
hate
this.
We
you,
actually
Jeffrey.
like you
We
a lot,
hate you.
Jeffrey, and I think you should go for it.
Don't go for it.
Hey, you know what? At their age, why not?
Yeah, I guess they've got nothing left to lose anymore.
Wow,
Not necessarily true. But
but
if they're just
over at 68, okay, age of expectancy, life expectancy is going up. Okay? We're on the rise.
They're basically like they're either already retired or they're about to retire. I hope. Maybe not in this economy, but
well, I think all I was trying to say for the basis of don't fake it till you make it, you can fake a little. That's what I would say. If you have a general baseline knowledge or a very general baseline skill set for what you're trying to get into, even if you don't have all the skills for the job that you're trying to get into, if you have some of them, I would say that it's okay to kind of fake the rest, because I'll tell you this from personal experience, a lot of jobs, the description of what you need to do in the job is not as intense or specific as they usually make it sound. So a lot of the time you can learn, if you have some baseline skills, you can learn what you need to learn on the job relatively quickly.
yeah, but not if you're faking it. See, if you're
completely faking it,
you're not going to learn anything.
If you forge your resume and say that you graduated from like Wharton or whatever, and you're a fiduciary and you can do all this stuff with brokerage accounts and other financial whatever, and you go to a Goldman Sachs or some whatever, and they hire you and you have no idea what you're doing, yeah, you're up the creek without a paddle. All I'm trying to say is if you have an interest in something, even if you don't have all the skills that you need according to the job description, if you have some of them, I would say go for it. But that's not the question. The advice would be think about your skills, think about where you came from, know that you wouldn't be getting an interview with this person if they didn't think there was a chance that you could fill the position. Just go for it.
Exactly. Some degree of confidence is merited if you even were asked to sit for an interview. You deserve to have some confidence.
Yeah, I mean,
that's
they looked at your application, your resume, all that, and they said, hey, you look like you'll be a good fit. Now we got to see what you're like on a personal level.
Yep. And you know what? In today's day and age, you also beat the AI. So good job for that.
Well, that won't be happening soon if you really think about it. AI is going to take over, and
nope.
We're all going to be without jobs. This podcast brought to you by ChatGPT.
Nope.
We're actually all ChatGPT.
Absolutely not. I'm a real person.
Well, that's what ChatGPT would say. I know because I'm ChatGPT. This is an AI podcast.
This is not one of those.
This is an AI podcast. They're just saying that because they're AI.
I'm sorry.
You're AI
I don't
too,
have
Jeffrey.
access to that kind of information. I can't help you with your request.
No, you.
Yeah, Jeffrey, you're also AI. So if you could kindly step away.
Next time on Humor Highwire, we discuss the simulation theory. So there you go. I have time with that.
No.
That might not actually happen. We're not actually going to do that.
Oh no,
I don't need that.
It's just going to be 30 minutes of me just fighting with the clown. That's all.
About what? You think I'm going to sit there and say we're in a simulation? What do you take me for, Andrew Tate? Friend of the podcast?
No. You know, I would assume that the AI will be optimized for people wanting to listen to the show, and that was the exact wrong thing to do.
Dude, you don't know what AI is going to do because you're not looking past your own Chat GPT self, all right? I'm Google Gemini over here. Gemini?
It's Gemini.
I'm Google Gemini. We love Andrew Tate over here, dude.
I'm actually
Okay.
Claude.
You're actually what?
I'm Claude.
Claude? Yeah.
Claude.
What's the name of that new AI that's like all free and it's like
There's a lot.
No, there's so
there's
many
a
now.
new one. It like tanked the AI market.
Oh, it's like a Chinese AI, right?
Yeah. And it's right like 20% of the time or something.
Next time on Humor Highwire, we talk about everything AI and the simulation theory and, you know, whatever it is, I'm sure it'll be silly. I hope you guys have a good rest of your time of day, and we'll see you next time.
Yeah.
Did we introduce ourselves?
Nope. Bye.